Hey everybody, Dr. Kevin Hyde here with Pinellas Anxiety Specialists. It's day 15 of my 30 days of live videos all throughout November here. And fall has finally come to Florida, which is very nice for this guy from the north. It's a little bit cooler out here, and I'm actually a little bit chilly as I'm sitting out here in shorts, but totally worth it. So today, I just wanted to talk about something that has become very popular. It's been a lot of articles in the news about it. It's been just all over the place on the internet. You've probably seen something about mindfulness meditation. And a lot of these articles, they say how mindfulness is the cure for pretty much everything. You know, they find ways that it can help you in business, in your private life, and family life, and they sort of make it out to be like a panacea, that it's a cure-all for everything. I think that might go a little bit too far, but as I just told one of my patients this week, that if there's two things that I could recommend to pretty much everybody that I work with, it would be to exercise and to start a mindfulness meditation practice. Because there has been a lot of research that's come out in the last 20 or 30 years that has shown that there are a lot of benefits that can come from being able to be more mindful. And I say that it's in the last 20 or 30 years, but mindfulness as a concept has really been around for thousands of years. It comes from Eastern traditions over in Eastern Asia, but not everything that's old is good. We know that there's a lot of things that people did back then that we sort of think are crazy. You think about like George Washington and the leeches that they used on him, and I know I'm happy that they don't have that as a medical procedure anymore. So there's a lot of things from the past that aren't good, but mindfulness is something, like I said, they started to do research on and seen that it actually changes your brain structure in a way that is beneficial, okay? And so now I've sort of given a little bit of background, but what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is just being in the present moment, which it can sort of seem a little bit weird because it seems like we're always in the present moment, but so much of our time we are either worrying about things in the future, thinking about things that we have to do coming up, or our mind is in the past, right? Thinking about things that have happened to us, about traumatic experiences, bad things that have happened, conversations that we wish we had done differently. So we're so often in that mental space that is not the present moment, that it is the future or it is the past. And so with mindfulness, we try and redirect our minds to being back in the present moment. And so we can do anything mindfully. You can wash dishes mindfully, you can drive mindfully, but mindfulness meditation is pretty, I'd say it's probably the best way to get started in trying to be more mindful overall. And it's not something that you have to do for an hour a day to find benefits. They've shown that even just 5 minutes a day can actually start to have a lot of those benefits that actually changes your brain structure, and what it does is allows you to notice when your mind is being captured and pulled into the future, pulled into the past, getting stuck on negative thoughts. And when you notice that, you can then bring it back to the present moment so that those thoughts, those emotions don't have quite as much power over you. So that's why we do it, right? We want you to be in the present moment more as you go throughout your day, so you're not wrapped up, not hooked by those negative thoughts, which of course can lead to anxiety, depression, all sorts of other mental health issues. And so when we are doing mindfulness meditation, when I'm talking to people in my office about mindfulness or about meditation, I ask them, when I say the word meditation, what does that bring up to you? What do you think when I say that? And the most common answer that I get is having a clear mind, having an empty mind, and that they've tried it before and they just can't do it because their mind just races. They think too much. They can't empty their mind. I tell them, well, that's actually a good thing, because if your mind is empty, it means you're dead, and none of us really want that right now. So that's not actually the purpose of mindfulness meditation, because if it was, we would all fail at it, and that's not good. That's not what we want. So what we're actually trying to do, it's simple, but it's not easy. All we're trying to do is observe and describe in a non-judgmental way. And so when I say mindfulness meditation, what I'm typically talking about is a guided body scan And there's a couple apps that I like for this on your phone. The one that I typically recommend for beginners is called Calm, C-A-L-M. And it has a whole introductory course, a 7-day course and a 21-day course, which are really wonderful, and I recommend you check out. They're free. Where was I going with that? Oh, a body scan. So what they do is they have you start, usually at your head, and just observe and describe in a non-judgmental way what it is that you're feeling. Okay, those sensations, it could be tingling, it could be warmth, there could be pressure that you're feeling, and all you're doing is observing and describing them, right? So you might just say those words, you might think tingling, warmth, pressure, tickling, pain. But when I say non-judgmentally, you're not thinking, oh, that stinks, I hate that sucks, get away from me, I hate that pain, stop. Because those are judgments, and we don't want to do that. We want to just sort of accept what's there and let it be, because that means we're in the present moment. So often you'll start with the breath, noticing the breath come in, noticing the breath go out, and all the feelings associated with that, and then sort of work your way through the body. And as you're doing that, your mind is going to get hooked. Like I mentioned before, you're going to start thinking about going to the grocery store, doing the dishes, watching the kids, all the things that happen. You're going to start thinking about, again, that bad thing that your husband said to you, that your wife didn't do the chores that she said she was going to do, whatever it is. There's all sorts of thoughts that pop into our minds while we're trying to stay focused on the present. And so part of this mindfulness meditation practice is not being upset at ourselves for getting caught by those thoughts, but we're trying to notice them. We're trying to get better at noticing earlier on that we've been captured by those thoughts, and we acknowledge them and say, thank you, mind. So we're compassionate with ourselves. We're not beating ourselves up for it. We say, thank you, mind. Let those thoughts drift away, and then return back to the present moment. And so, as I said, it's simple in concept, but it's not easy to do in practice. So usually when people are starting out and we're doing a 5-minute meditation, 2 or 3 minutes of that might actually be just in random thought. And it might be once or twice that they've caught themselves and they return back. And that's okay, right? It's like riding a bike. When you first ride your bike, you fall off a lot. And then as you do it more and as you practice, you get better at it and it becomes easier and easier. And the same thing goes with mindfulness practice. That at first, there's going to be a lot of times when you don't even notice that you've been off in thought until the meditation ends. And you're like, oh, oops. But that's okay. Again, we're trying to be compassionate with ourselves and non-judgmental. And so the next time, you just try and get better at noticing when you've been pulled away by those thoughts and returning back to the present moment. And every time you do that, that's a success. So I think the only way you can really fail at mindfulness is if you fall asleep while you're doing it, which people have done. I've done it myself. So just sort of keep that in mind. But as I said, if you could try and do this just 5 minutes a day, typically within a couple weeks, people start to see some benefits from it. That they are not quite so frustrated, they don't get so irritable with their family, bring some relaxation about. And when I say those things, the purpose of mindfulness isn't necessarily to be relaxed in that, but it is often a side effect of it. It's a beneficial side effect of it. So, like I said, 5 minutes a day, if you can find a way to work that in. When I do mine, I like to do it early in the morning before the kids wake up, because once they're there, it's really hard to be focused on much of anything. But you just find that 5 minutes for yourself and try and work that in. And I'm interested to hear how it goes. If you have anything you want me to cover coming up in the second half of this month, leave a comment below, shoot me a message, and I'd be happy to do it. Thanks for listening, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you tomorrow.